And there's still uncertainty that this today will actually mark the end of that timetable issued by the Electricity Company of Ghana with regard to the load shedding exercise. Despite the completion of repair works by the Ghana Gas Company, JoyNews is learning that there are a number of factors that may further delay that end of the load shedding exercise. A number of Ghanaians have been raising concerns about the inconvenience of the intermittent power outages, but from indications, gas supply from Nigeria will still be a hindrance. Colleague Joseph Agable has been digging into the details and has more.
There has been a challenge with the gas we received from Nigeria. This has resulted in a loss of about 200 megawatts of power, as what was to come from Nigeria yesterday didn't come in. So this is not something that's within the control of the utilities companies in Ghana. What this means is that there's a shortfall in available power. So during peak hours, our sources tell us that we are looking at some shortfall of about 400 megawatts and more than 200 within off-peak periods. And this is not just due to the Nigerian situation that I alluded to. There's a bit about not having adequate fuel to power other available plants as well.
Now, we understand that Ghana Gas is operating, but not at the optimum level now. From what the other players tell you, will there be stable power supply beyond today?
I mean, the load shedding, as was advertised, is supposed to end today. What we can confirm is that from today, the power situation will generally improve, but they would only be able to get to the level that they were previously once the Ghana Gas plant is operating at full capacity. That will be one. And the second will be the ability to get as many plants as possible running due to the adequate supply of fuel. And so, yes, there will be an improvement, but it will not immediately get to the level that we expect to. And so as the days go by, with the improvement from the Ghana Gas and the subsequent availability of resources to power the other available plants, then we can get to that optimum level.
Okay, so it means that we should expect that the load shedding may continue after today, right?
To an extent, but not at the level that we are seeing currently.
Well, so that Joseph Agable giving us a sense of what may happen in the coming days, but what's the likely impact and how could Ghana be, of course, strategizing in this trying times in respect to our energy sector? Let's speak now to Dr. Yusuf Sulemana. He's an energy strategist and a policy analyst as well. Thank you, sir, for your time here on The Pulse. So it appears that Ghana Gas may indeed have completed works on that repairs the system they are repairing, but the supply itself will still be intermittent. What's accounting for this, knowing that gas supply will be a challenge to the country, and what alternatives should we be opting for as a country now?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you, Blessed, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Yeah, indeed, it would be unfortunate if Ghana Gas should complete and come back on stream, and the power supply to the end user would still be erratic. That would be highly unfortunate, and that I say would not be acceptable. Yeah, so if there are other latent or hidden issues that we don't know, I think players, they have to come clear. The last thing the end user needs is uncertainty in the way we communicate with respect to these issues. We are not sure, I'm not too sure where the issues may be coming from, but all these issues are pointing to the supply side as in raw material. And that's safe to tell us that, I mean, over the years, I think we've been boasting of excess, generation capacity. And indeed, I think we did have excess generation capacity, but having the physical infrastructure, the generation infrastructure in place is not only the end of the game, or it's not only the end to the equation, but the ability to be able to supply the raw material needed to power those infrastructure is equally crucial, to delivering power to the end user at competitive rates. And in this case, I think last time I talked about the triangular shape of energy security. I mean, energy doesn't only have to be, affordable or, available to the end user, but it should be sort of affordable or, dependable to the end user, but it should be readily available. And I can say that the availability component of it is key. If energy is not readily available, let's say it will cascade into these other two components that I talked about. And I think we are being challenged, we are gradually being challenged or confronted with availability issues. So what is the way out? I mentioned that we have a lot of dependence on other external parties. At this moment in time, Ghana, as we are so endowed with a lot of gas reserves within our shores, last time I mentioned that we are talking about billions and trillions cubic feet of gas within our shores. I mean, we'll have to take advantage of that. If anything at all, we should have been exporting gas at this moment in time, but that's not happening. And so this is telling us that we are still not insulated from energy security or power security ramifications.
And that's the greatest fear. Are we getting back to the dark days of doom? So that's the question on the minds of the average Ghanaian.
And that's a legitimate question that should ring in the minds of every Ghanaian at this moment in time, because those dark days were days that everybody regretted living in. So at the moment, the players within the sector have to come clear. Whatever the issues are, even if we have challenges and it's well communicated, I think people can adjust. People will understand. But if we keep covering issues and there are other latent issues that we are covering, it's going to be a very difficult thing. And to just add something more to the first question, the first question that you answered, what are the available options for us? Of course, I mentioned Ghana Gas, which we have to expand to, make the gas available. If the gas is so much available, I think it could be affordable sometimes, not all the time. If it's available, it could be very dependable and it could be very stable in terms of supply. Now we have to also look at the fact that we have to begin to gravitate taking household from this national grid. And it's easy to be done. It's been done everywhere. We have to champion. I think that our solar or renewable penetration has been so low. If you notice the time when we give ourselves, targets by 2010, by 2020 to cover about, some percentage of generation mix that should come from, renewables. In this case, I'm specifically talking about solar. Of course, hydro, we are doing so well, but solar and other renewables, we are not doing so well. We should open the space for private sector to invest into solar. If we invest into solar and make it competitive, and at this moment, solar is not competitive, I can tell you, because we haven't had the required investment into the sector. If we have the required investment into the sector to make it available and competitive and cheaper, these kind of problems will also be minimized in terms of the fact that the pressure on the grid or the national grid will be minimized to the barest possible. Okay. And what the government needs is just to open the space for private sector investment into the sector. And I think that's the way to go.
Okay. And of course, we're still expecting the Ghana Gas Company to issue a formal statement on what's happening in terms of our power supply, because they've completed the exercise. We've just spoken to the CEO. He says that an official statement will come up to explain why we're not operationalizing that facility yet. But you were talking about the fact that we have the capacity. Why not shift focus to other means? The various pieces of infrastructure that we have dotted across the country, and then we move ahead and rely on them instead of just dealing with the gas component.
Yes, so that's a very good one. And that's still back the question of gas penetration that I talked about. It is just until recently that we had gas we made an attempt to route gas from the west to the east. Yes, this infrastructure, their strategic location is not, their location is not strategic with respect to the available supply of gas. It is just, if you remember some time back, we had to do what we call reverse flow. We had to flow the backwards from either the east to the west or west to the east. So that still calls to the question of investment. We need massive investment into our gas infrastructure. And when I say gas infrastructure, even within Ghana itself, we shouldn't have the gas penetration so good that probably if you have gas at a Twabo or whatever, the gas should be able to be supplied to every corner of this country. And that calls for investment where we have readily pipelines that can supply this gas. That is still a challenge. In other jurisdictions where I operate, in fact, we have gas being supplied to our household. That's how much they have gone to penetrate. You have gas that can supply at you don't need to take cylinder to fill gas sometimes. You have the gas that is piped and you meter it and it comes to your household. And that is very secure. That is where we have to gravitate to. I think we are still far away. So what we need to do, we have to actually invest into this gas infrastructure to make sure that the gas penetration, even if the supply is there, it doesn't become so cumbersome. to be able to supply the gas for all the utility points in the country. Person.
Okay, and as we wrap up, what should Ghanaians expect in terms of what's likely to happen when it comes to power supply in the coming days? What's your outlook, personally speaking?
Yeah, so I'm only hoping that, these issues are resolved timely or in a timeous manner. If they're not resolved and a cogent explanation is not brought into the picture, I think it's going to increase a lot of uncertainties. And Ghanaians will always be thinking that, we are almost going to go back to the dark days. That would be the thinking. So going forward, if by tomorrow, the deadline given was 7th of, this month, and we are just on the deadline. Let's give them some time. Probably something is being worked out. Let's say by tomorrow, if we haven't had any cogent explanation, that is convincing as to why we're still going to have erratic power supply, then I'm sure every Ghanaian has a cause to be worried. But I think I would say it is early days here. Let's hold our gun and let's wait for the place in the sector to come out clear. And what I urge them to do, if they have challenges and they still need to continue with the load shedding, it is not out of place to come up with a new timetable and communicate clearly what the issues are. And I think if they do that, Ghanaians should be able to understand them better. But if they leave it in a vacuum, a lot of explanations will be given, and that feed into the uncertainties that we have, and that is not good.
I thought that would have been the last one. But I thought that would have been the last one. But I'm just being reminded about the IPPs too. The independent power producers haven't spoken since. Do you feel that there may be some issues in that industry that we need to learn much more about?
Yeah, that's also very strange to me that I haven't heard, because they are the core. They are also the core of this particular chain that we are having problem, which is the generation mix. the generation aspect of it. I just hope that we don't gravitate to a point where we are going to talk about finances again. And that's what I'm hoping. I don't know, but that's what I'm hoping. Because see, if challenges are happening like this and it is not been explained clearly, at the end of the day, don't be surprised that finances will come to play. And for these guys, they are private players. If they are not paid, or if whatever they delivered, they don't get the money back, there could be a lot of things. So yes, I think if there's something that they can say about the situation, the IPPs, they can come out and say, so that we'll understand the picture very clear. I think the quiet, they are so unnecessarily quiet, and it's also worrying. I hope there are no issues with finances at this moment in time. President.
That's all we are hopeful. I'm grateful, Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, for spending some time with us. The Electricity Company of Ghana, which is on one side of the supply chain, also says it's scaling up its revenue measures. The company has been on a mass disconnection exercise, and the exercise has been scaling up in the Ashanti region. In the Amansie South District, the DCE was also disconnected as part of the exercise. There's more.
Clement Opoku's residence was among several private homes and public institutions disconnected on day one of the ECG revenue mobilization exercise at Mansour Dubia, the capital of Amansie South District. The district assembly office complex was the first to escape disconnection after 19,000 Ghana cedis unpaid electricity bills were settled instantly. The district's education and immigration offices, however, had their power supply cut by the task force. Some residential facilities, including the district assembly bungalows, also suffered disconnection for non-payment of bills. The official residence of the DCE for the area, Clement Opoku, was next to suffer power cut. The ward house had at least 4 floodlights on when the ECG Revenue Protection Task Force visited at 3:42 p.m. Ashanti Regional Director of ECG, Engineer David Bwedi Asamoah, tells JoyNews power supply to the DC's apartment was illegal.
This service serves the DCE for is it Amansie South? That's right. The service connection to the house is unauthorized. It doesn't go through any ECG document, so we term it as illegal extension. We are terminating the service, the illegality. Then if you need the service, you should apply. In the first place, there's no application. Okay. That is why we call it illegal. There's no application to ECG at all in any way. So now that we have identified it, we are removing the wires and then every energy he has used over the period that he has used it will recover. Daytime, outside light, you don't need it. So this is a complete waste. And this goes to make us believe that probably he's not paying for it.
Engineer Bodia Samoa described the GCE as his friend, but explained his stance of professionalism over friendship.
But the DC is my good friend. I mean, you know, he comes to my office, we chat. He calls me, he comes to my office, we chat. But this is purely a professional work that we are doing.
How do you feel to do this to your friend, a man that you say he's your friend? Now, from today onwards, he's going to sleep in darkness.
Yeah, as a professional, you need to distinguish friendship from professionalism. What I'm doing now is a pure professional work that I'm doing. We are friends. I mean, it doesn't change it. So I don't think that our friendship will, this will mar our friendship, unless the person decides. But as far as I'm concerned, friendship grows when the right things are done. So we are only helping him do the right things, and the friendship will grow.
From Manso Adubia for Joy News, Ohimeteria reporting.
And of course, the Easter festivities are here. The Ghana Police Service says it is on a target to reduce indiscipline on the road and also to ensure that carnages are dealt with completely. In your shots now, you have the Inspector General of Police, George Akufo-Dampare, who's been touring some of the terminals earlier today, interacting with some drivers and passengers. The IGP has been interacting with some of the drivers earlier today.
Passengers for now, Omuba, Naibia, Omadia, Omakachi, Ebi Omupian Matiko, Semun Confidia members, any Omutin Komoi, and Police TV, so any media be so.
We advise passengers not to force drivers to overspeed, because we only have one life. It is important to return home safely.
For the roads are so small for the population that we have now. And that's caused too many accidents, too many problems. We have been talking about it for the longest, but still, nothing has been done. And I think if they're thinking about safety, then they should think about the roads. Because if the roads are not good, then there won't be any safety.
Well, so there you have it, the IGP touring some of the terminals earlier today and, of course, interacting with the New Plant Drivers Union. You heard them talk about the state of the road and the need for government also to do something about that. They believe that it's part of the general problems that the driver community is also facing. We'll hear from the GPRTU shortly as to how its members are adjusting, of course, preparing for the festivities. But also joining us in studio is Reverend Cyril Crabb. He is the founder and president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana. Thank you, Reverend, for your time. You've seen the IGP do some tour today. Yes. What's your reaction to that tour by the IGP?
All right. Thank you very much. And once again, good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Well, with what the IGP and the police services are putting in today, I'm particularly excited. You know, I'm amazed as well that this time around they are all getting involved and they are at the targeted place, the place that we know that drivers usually cause the accident, vehicles that cause the accident. and the place that people also populate to board vehicles and then go, travel at various places. The Circle, New Plant Station. And so I'm very, very excited, very much excited that the IGP, the National Road Safety Authority, the GPRTU, and all the transport operators or the transport companies at this time round this year are coming together to ensure that indeed within this short period of the Easter festivity, we would have 0 fatalities, 0 death, or 0 crashes. And I must commend them for what they are doing.
The initiatives that we've seen in the past, for instance, the police service introducing the peer reporting system, where of course anytime you're in a commercial vehicle, one person will be appointed to monitor the driver. Are these measures sufficient, or you feel that there's more that we could be doing?
Yes, there is more. And you heard one driver, or let me say one of the transport VIP, one of the directors making a very, very important statement. And that is where we are at the moment. If government will consider what he's saying, that is, the roads indeed are very small, and we have populated as a country. We are 30 million and above, and we have very, very smaller roads, 66 years roads, that have been constructed. That is what we have there. And so if to add to the measures, like you are saying, now we have police visibility, which was there before, but they have deployed more. Now we are thinking of automotive, system, which is also in the pipeline coming. We are also thinking of, let me say, potholes or dual carriages, where we are right now. I think that expanding the roads or fixing more roads. Let me say this, forgive me. I was so astonished again that Kamala came into, or it's not Kamala.
Yeah, that's the name.
Kamala.
Yes,
Kamala came
Harris.
into town, and he went through the Africa's most dangerous roads.
Right.
And I was surprised that they never ever mentioned to her that this road is very dangerous. This road is also that gives us the educational brain, or give birth to our educationalists, our professors out there. Because Cape Coast, have a lot of schools that train a lot of people, but their roads are very dangerous.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that may not happen or have happened because she flew there. So the technicalities.
But some of the delegates that came with her drove there.
Yeah,
it is not everybody that flew with her.
Obviously.
You understand? So I was thinking that on that road, which links to an historic, there should be at least the talk of the deplorable state of that road. A road that is killing almost a lot of people. If it is not Kintampo, then it is Cape Coast. When you go to Kintampo, surprisingly, they say that Cape Coast is their senior. You understand? And so I'm saying that if today we have somebody like that coming into town, we could at least mention it, that road needs to be fixed. And like he said,
is it not much more about the drivers and indiscipline on the road, rather than looking at it from that perspective of, say, oh, it's about the roads and that's all? How about the drivers too?
For how long are we going to sit and play the blame game? It's about time, like I said the last time I came on your set, that we now must lead the drivers. The drivers must not lead us. Okay? We must lead them. In other jurisdictions, when you travel out there, the roads are made such that it directs you, the driver. When you offend, now you are charged, because it is there. You know it. You know that you don't need to go left. So when you go left, you are charged for it. You know yourself. You know that the traffic is red. In fact, we even don't have traffics now in Ghana on our roads. It's very pathetic. On our major roads. So we must do roads that will now direct the driver, will lead the driver, where if he commits any offense, road traffic offense, we can deal with them. But the driver can tell you what is there. You don't see road markings. You don't see any road furniture. The roads, like he said, are very small. And you see smaller cars competing with these VIP buses. Sometimes if you are a scary driver and you don't have the courage to drive, you will just veer off the road. That also causes a life. And so where we are at the moment, my brother, I think that we should consider our roads, expand it, or at least have a dual carriage. Then we'll have a holistic discussion. We cannot continue to blame the driver. I know overspeeding today have added to it, which is one of the major causes of crashes. I know the National Road Safety mentioned it, that broken down vehicles contribute to the crashes, but it is not always the driver's fault. You know, our roads at least must be dual carriage where we have this cemented.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, I mean, this is futuristic, isn't it?
No, we can't
get it done like right now.
At least I was alive when I'm in this country when the N1 was done at a point.
Right.
Successive government, if I'm not, afraid to say, successive government have not really helped us, to continue to build our roads, especially Cape Coast Road, especially Kintampo Road, especially Bupe and Temale roads. I mean, roads that today we keep on hearing that they are dangerous roads and they are spot points that, people usually get accidents.
Okay, but Reverend, let's talk about the festivities in the context of the safety that we're talking about. The Road Safety Commission says it will be increasing awareness. We know that a lot of people will be moving towards Kwewu and its environs. You know, that's where a lot of activities happen. And I mean, to be fair, that will be happening simultaneously across the country. So from the perspective of the Road Safety Authority, what measures would you want to see?
The measures are already there. Like I said in the morning, I commend the National Road Safety Authority for the measures that they have put in. Then again, also the police. I mean, the partnership that we have to make sure that the CIDs, the crashes, injuries, and death continuously be reduced. We have 30% already, which is a recommendable, percentage according to the staff. Now, we know that during Easter, Kwewu especially is populated. Vehicular movement becomes very, strict and all that. People will drink and drive. People will not be wearing their seatbelts. There will be recklessness in general on our roads. And so over there, the National Road Safety Authority have deployed their men there. The police are there, like the IGPs. In fact, this is a good one. And then the cameras are there. Like you said, the speed guns are there. The breathalyzers are there. And they are checking everybody. I would say here that it shouldn't be an idea. It shouldn't be for these festivities alone. But it should be that every now and then, police will be deployed. Every now and then, the cameras we are hoping to fix. Now they have passed their LI, which is coming out, which, empowers them to put in these measures and also to sanction. And so if they will sanction recalcitrant drivers at these times, I believe that it will send a signal and it will completely reduce, or it will bring some kind of sanity on our roads and highways, or it will reduce indiscipline.
Right. Let's bring in Samuel Amwa. Samuel Amwa is a member of the National Communications Team for the GPRTU. Thank you, Sami, for your time. So part of the blame, and of course, I'm sure you've seen the IGP move to some bus terminals. Did he engage GPRTU today?
Thank you very much. Let me say good afternoon to your viewers, and let me wish you a happy Easter and Reverend Crab as well. Reverend, how are you?
Doing well, my brother.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, yes. We find out that we were told IGP, is going to the terminals to engage the drivers or to advise the drivers as to how they'll comply with the road safety regulations on our roads during this Easter festivities. Yes, actually, early information didn't come, but when he got there, most of our terminal managers, the station officers were informed, and then they also joined them, and it was successful. We will not say that he should have informed GPRTU earlier, maybe by writing or something, because it's something that GPRTU started doing. When we are entering into these festive areas, mostly some of the drivers, do some certain things that sometimes if you don't take them at the end of the whole thing, then you see a lot of accidents on our roads. So to GPRTU, we started, talking to the drivers. We engage our union guards, going from one terminal to the other, talking to the drivers, reminding them of keeping the road safety regulations, and also checking on their vehicles, their tires, and all that. So for IGP to just go to the terminals to visit the drivers, I think is a very good thing.
Okay, and you are talking about the fact that that directive has gone through to all of your members. What have you directed, and what are you advising your drivers to do during the festive period?
Yeah, what we are saying is that we started advising our drivers, as I said earlier on, some of us with the communicators started going out to all the various stations. We moved with the union guards, most especially the long distance stations. And not that we know that the drivers, most of them knows all the road traffic regulations, but we go there to remind them, because during these festive areas, if you don't take time, maybe one may be thinking there are a lot of passengers, so let me just rush, go and ally them and come back and all that. So we reminded them, we advised them to be cautious, to be careful on our roads, to make sure that all these regulations they will abide by them. Wrongful overtaking, overspeeding, and all that. And some of them, you see, one of the things that we also did was that we although we don't have this device that we used to check, drinking and driving, but our union guys, we train them in such a way that when they get close to you and you are drunk or you've taken in something, they can easily notice, and they draw our attention, and we'll make sure that we will not allow you to drive your vehicle.
Okay,
it's something that we started doing.
Right, and we're listening to the Secretary of the New Plan Drivers Union point out that the roads, is beginning to be of concern to you as drivers. The fact that the road networks that we have across the country is not helpful, and it's not just the case that the drivers are indisciplined on our roads.
Yes, that is also another factor. That is also another point. You see, there is a saying in our Kan language that you see, where we are advising drivers to make sure that they abide by the roads traffic regulations on our roads, or the road signals. So those signals must be there, because it's the road signals that speaks to the driver. And you get to a certain area that you not even find any road signals there, and even road markings are faded out, and some of the roads you find potholes and all that. That one too is not helping. It's also contributing to the accident. You see, so the government must also set up most of our major roads, like Kumasi Road. There are areas that when you are driving around those areas, it's very, very dangerous. Your driver may think he's swerving a potholes. At the end of the day, he may end up crashing with another vehicle, or maybe had an accident. So it's one thing the government also has to do something about it. Like rules, it's very, very important.
Okay, Reverend Cyril Crabbe is still with us, and Reverend, from your perspective as the accident victims support team, you don't want to have more carnages this year. So what's your appeal to our viewers?
Of course,
to drivers all across?
One life lost is one too many, and not only Ghana as a whole, but every loved one is needed to be alive, to stay alive, and when traveling, you arrive alive. And so, me in particular, like I said, I commend the National Road Safety for the statistics we are enjoying, or we are seeing. But going forward, we should also know that these victims, they just leaving the home, they tell their families, I'll be back. And then something happened. We cannot just leave them, because it's a social contract. And so my word for every driver is that see yourself as a savior and carry the people safely to your destination, but also see yourself as a very good person. And the entire country, I'm still, campaigning. We went for the wreath laying at King Tampo on the 22nd of March, where we went to lay wreath. And there were certain recommendations that they gave. That is the roads that they need to do the smaller ramps. They also have proposed that they will give a land for a mandatory rest stop, because they think that Kintapo is too much in the news. Then also they are also saying that the towing cars must be there 24/7, and their call must work. Then they also said that we should pray so that the land will be purified. Then these things will be stopped. I am saying that if we have people in this land who are citizens, that we love them, let's show them love, even if they crash, even if something happened to them because of the social contract. Drivers should show concern. Individuals crash, passengers must know that they also have the right as they are traveling. So they should not keep quiet. Like the accident that the M2M, the accident, there were passengers in the car. They kept quiet when these drivers were doing these wrongful overtaking. and it ended up, crashing, where the passengers are the most people, the most vulnerable people that got injured. We are saying that everybody should take their personal insurance, life insurance, seriously. Right. I want to propose that as you are traveling, they ask you to do insurance in case anything happens. So if you're also traveling by bus, and because of the carnages on our roads, we should also have personal insurance for these passengers so that they will go safely, arrive alive, and come, because every life matters, and we must take it serious. I'm begging everybody who is traveling at this particular moment. I need you. If nobody needs you, Reverend Cyril needs you. Every pastor in Ghana needs you. We are celebrating Christ. You cannot die, and don't die. Don't even allow yourself to die. So speak up as you sit in the car. You are not a witch. Speak up. And above all, if you have any support for any crash victims, please don't forget us. We are still crying for a car. We are still crying for a car to carry us up and down. Right. We'll be visiting in Sawam and also Amasama Hospital, respectively, on Monday with some goodies that Unilever Ghana gave to us, boxes of soap, detergents that we are going to share to them. We're also asking other corporate companies to come, just as Unilever did. They also do the same thing so that we can visit these people with something in our hands to show love, especially during this
Indeed, and that's what Easter is also about.
That's what it's about, yes. But we are still calling for the car. Please don't forget. If anybody have any car to give to us to run around, 0246 869214. And we thank everybody, every pastor, every church who have been a support, and every company that have been a support, especially the insurance companies for coming to our aid. God bless you so much.
And we're grateful, Reverend Cyril Crab, for spending some time with us. He's just moving right from church and joining us in studio. But that's the work of a man of God. So
Thank you very much.
But pedestrians on the Awoshi Blekuma Highway are raising concerns about the disregard for road markings, especially the zebra crossing. My colleague Samuel Mbura has been to the community and now reports.
The black and white stripes you have seen on this road is not for the purposes of decoration, but it is a signal to drivers that this is for the passage of pedestrians. So for that reason, you have to slow down. But that is not a situation here on the Awoshi Ablekuma highways here in Accra. The residents are alarmed about the fact that the drivers are flouting the road safety regulations and killing whilst injuring people as a result of that. They are expecting that authorities should educate the drivers and also put in place drastic measures to address the pedestrian knockdowns here at Awoshi.
Within about 2 years' time,
the accidents that occur on this road are uncountable. People get seriously injured and die from crashes on this road.
Last week,
even last week, 2 boys sustained injuries from a motor crash. Our major problem is these drivers don't respect the pedestrian signals. They drive at top speed. We want authorities to act on the situation because we are living in danger.
Drivers don't normally stop when they even see pedestrian crossing, unless, let's say, the road is free for us to pass. But if they see us here, they just go. They don't stop. And that is the problem.
There have been frequent accidents on this stretch of the road because the drivers do not obey the pedestrian signals. Instead of them to slow down for us to pass, they drive at high speed. I lost my sister in an accident on this road last year.
The drivers, they knock children as if they don't know the regulation. So I think if we have a big zebra crossing to let them see or to know that there's a zebra crossing here. At times,
the signs are there.
The signs are here, but many of the drivers doesn't know that the zebra crossing is here.
The drivers don't respect pedestrians. We have to run to be able to cross the road. Just last week, a woman was killed by a speeding driver. No one cares about the pedestrians, whether school children, old people, or whoever you are. What can solve the situation is for the driver to be disciplined.
Because driving be our mra, and
There have been efforts by authorities to ensure that cases related to pedestrian knockdowns on our road are reduced drastically. This has been manifested in the first quarter report of the National Road Safety Authority, which indicates that pedestrian knockdown has reduced by over 23%. And there are still collaborative efforts to ensure that the situation is addressed or reduced drastically for 2023. But until drivers comply with the road safety regulations, this particular target will be a mirage. Reporting for JoyNews, Samuel Mbura, Accra.
And indeed, we are your election headquarters. We're paying attention to the NDC's internal race for the presidential and parliamentary primaries. There's a lot happening in the Ayaso West Wuogon constituency, as actor John Dumelo will be the only candidate that the party will vet to clear the process leading to the main elections for the internal primaries in that part of the country. Some two other contestants, Fred Nyama and also Moses Befi, are raising concerns about the process. Yesterday, Theophilus Tetechai, who was a member of the vetting committee at the regional level, confirmed to us that in spite of the petition slapped by these two individuals on the process, the party has given the green light for the actor, that's John Dumelo, to be vetted. We're fortunate to be joined by Moses Befi, who's part of those raising the concerns. Moses, it's good to be talking to you here, but not a good time for you as one of the aspirants in the Ayaso West Wuogon area. What's your reaction to the fact that, in spite of all the petition, your concerns raised with the national leadership, actor John Dumelo is the only one giving the green light now to be vetted?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers and your listeners. I think it's inappropriate, and it is surprising that the party, after we successfully filing our nomination forms, after making the required payments, after going through all the necessary procedures, would surprisingly make a U-turn that actor John Dumelo should be the only person to be vetted in Ayaso West Wuogon. I mean, it's surprising because just this Monday, when that was the date we were supposed to be vetted, we had a meeting with the regional chairperson of the NDC, right, of the party. And he stated that because of some issues that were popping up regarding the online filing, he had received a directive from the national chairman that Ayaso West Wuogon, the vetting should be postponed until they clarified those technicalities.
This was on Monday.
This was on Monday.
And the exercise was rescheduled per our checks to the next day.
No, indefinitely. It was
indefinitely.
On Monday.
Okay, right.
It was
on
indefinitely.
Monday. Right. Okay.
So we're hoping that we will get the new dates from the party, and just for me to surprisingly hear that actor John Dumelo has been cleared
yes,
to be vetted.
What issues did the regional executives, or by extension the vetting committee, what issues did they raise with your nomination forms, for instance, as a candidate?
You see, what is shocking is that we have not even met the vetting committee yet. So the appropriate procedure will be that allow us to meet the vetting committee, and then the vetting committee will look at the issues, whether or not we were able to successfully file. If we were able to successfully file, then they will go into the merits of whether or not one even qualifies to contest. So we have not even met the vetting panel yet. And then we received a message first from the regional chairperson, And then later, it was confirmed in the evening by the vetting committee that Ayawaso has been postponed. So we have not even...
Okay, so there was no meeting at all?
So there was no meeting
So
at
this
all.
is just your meeting with the regional chairperson?
This was just a meeting with the regional
Did you allow for the regional chairperson to say, okay, well, I'm relaying the issues to the national headquarters. Once that's resolved, we'll get you feedback?
So the meeting was for the regional chairperson to convey a message to us, a message he received from him. He received from the national chairman. So he conveyed a message to us that because of the technicalities, the issues revolving the filing of nominations and other peculiar issues within Ayawaso West, they had to postpone the vetting of Ayawaso until they resolve those technical issues. And I mean, what are these technical issues we are talking about? The technical issues are just that we were not able to make payments online because the system had been blocked.
Okay, so you failed to make payments for your vetting process or nomination process before the deadline?
No, that is not it. I did not fail to make payments. You know, when after the 3 processes, you first fill the Form A online and then make a submission. After the submission, you are required to pay 40,000 Ghana cedis online. So that was the stage. Now, online, when you try to, before you can get access to it, you have a reference code or a reference number. You enter it and then you'll be granted access to make payment via your Visa card. Now, when you enter the Visa, the reference number, it tells you that seems there is a problem. The system was blocked.
That's the log you get from the system.
Yes, that is the log
and I see that you have, you have some of the...
Yes.
So you have that as evidence.
Yes, I have that as evidence.
Okay, right.
So that is the pop-up you get, the indication you get. I did this on Monday, that was 20th. I did the same on 21st. And then on 22nd, which was the deadline. So it was, I was facing that problem. So I reported it immediately to the Elections Directorate in Ayawaso West Wagon, and then the constituency secretary as well as the constituency chairperson in Ayawaso West Wagon, that these are the problems I'm facing. So they had to follow up with the IT, and then they said Ayawaso, surprisingly, Ayawaso was facing that issues. That was the message I got from the constituency secretary.
Okay, so they confirmed to you that it wasn't your fault that
no. It couldn't have been.
Is the party aware of this position?
Yes.
That all of you going into the contest
yes.
Have not been able to make your payment?
So let me
explain that.
So when the problem was so persistent, as at around 12 noon on 22nd, that was the deadline, I proceeded to the party headquarters.
Oh, so yes. you were still insistent on making the payment?
Yes, so I proceeded to the party headquarters. Right. And then I met the constituency secretary, the constituency chairperson, and surprisingly, the national secretary also came into the office. And then we met the IT personnel. And then they said, if we are facing problems paying online, then they provided an address, a bank account, an account number of the NDC, that we can proceed to make the payments there. So I made the payments around 1:30 p.m. on that day. Okay. And then I brought the paying slip. I sent it on WhatsApp to 3 identifiable people, 3 IT personnel. I sent it to the constituency secretary as well and the constituency chairperson as well, that this is the payment I've made. And then the elections directory said they have received a directive, or they've been in touch with the deputy secretary, who is Mohammed, that if we have been able to make the payment as required, then we should proceed to the constituency office to file. So I printed the forms online, because I've made the payments. I printed the forms online, attached the paying slip to the forms. I proceeded to the constituency office to file my nominations at around 3:15.
Was that accepted?
It was accepted. And I've chanced on the report of the Elections Directorate, which said that the 3 of us, John Dumelo filed first in the morning, I filed second in the afternoon, right. And then Ferdinand also filed as the 3rd person. So 3 of us filed. And what is even more shocking is that when the region was, bringing out the schedule for the vetting, ours was on Monday, we were the last. Ayawaso West Wagon was the last, 7 o'clock to I think about 8:15. They indicated that they were going to vet 3 people.
And that was clear.
And that was clear. So there were no issues. Until Monday, when we received the message that because of the filing issues, I had not cited any petition regarding the filing. Nobody has approached me formally on any issue or any petition whatsoever. So to the best of my knowledge, I was supposed to be at a vetting on Monday at 7 p.m. So we received the message from the regional chairman that vetting should be postponed until a further date that will be set.
And now, and in fact, I conducted that interview. I spoke to Mustafa Gbande yesterday. And then followed up with Theophilus Tetechai. I'm sure you are aware of these names.
Yes.
Then Theophilus confirms to us on radio that only John Dumelo has been cleared to to go through the vetting process?
I mean, that's I think to me it's a decision that does not sit well with me and would not sit well with a lot of the branch executives in Iowa. So, I mean, allow the people to go through. If there are any technicalities or there are any issues, I think the appropriate body to rectify it, bring it. If there is any petition, you've not even heard me. I've not been heard on any petition whatsoever. So if there are any petitions whatsoever, you in the right thinking of the party, postponed the vetting. Meet with me. Let me know that these are the issues. Let me bring. I even filed a petition regarding the difficulties I faced. I attached all the evidence I have. What I have here, I attached everything to it. So at least meet me. Let me know that these are the issues. I mean, the most important.
But have you also tried reaching out to, of course, the national leadership of the party? I'm not sure that you are too new to this as a politician.
Yes,
a lot could happen. Have you tried speaking to some members, leading figures of the party?
I have. Sometimes you call, it won't go through or they won't pick up. So the immediate executives you have will be the constituency, the elections directorate, the region. Yes, I've made reports. Even on Monday, I was at the region. Even on Monday, I was at the region. So as it stands now, I'm not aware of any formal petition against the problems we faced or any formal petition bordering on whether or not we were able to file. To the best of my knowledge, we were able to file successfully. So the next thing we are supposed to do is to meet the vetting committee, for the vetting committee to say that, hey, we have this petition against you, we have these issues against you, you will get to hear from my side. And then at the end of the day, the vetting committee will make a decision. If I am not okay with the vetting committee, the decision of I'm dissatisfied with it, then there is an appeal process. I follow it. If I'm still not dissatisfied with it, then I follow up with the next procedure to redress whatever issues I have. So I think that is what has to happen. I mean, I'm a party member. I respect the party rules and the procedures. I think the right thing must be done. And I will ensure that's the right.
Okay, Moses, the concern even about who you are, your contributions to the party, and as to whether or not you're even known, together with your colleague Fred Nyama, you're all new to this race, isn't it? The fact that John Tumelo was the immediate past parliamentary candidate for the party in the area. So you give him that due, right? The fact that he's been there before.
Yes, you see, it's not only Iowa so West Wagon that former parliamentary candidates are being contested. If you go to Tema East, for instance, Tema East, we were in 2016 elections, we lost by about 6,000 or 8,000. In 2020 elections, we won by about 9,000 or so. Even in Medina, Adenta, we lost in 2016. In 2020 elections, we won. So other parliamentary candidates are being contested. So that should not be an issue. Right. I mean, we are party members. All you need to satisfy is that has the person been a party member for the past 4 years as required? Yes. If the person has been a party member for the past 4 years, yes. The work I have done for the NDC on Legon campus, it's notorious. Everybody knows about it. The notoriety of the work I have done at the student front, NUCs, the student caucus on campus is known. Even in the constituency, the work I've done for the constituency, the NDC in the constituency since last year. Since last year, I started distributing water for all our ward meetings. I've bought plastic chairs, 30 plastic chairs per ward. We have 13 wards in Iowa, so West Wagon. It's left with just about 3 wards to receive the 30 plastic chairs. I'm organizing health screenings, ward by ward health screening for the branch executives in Iowa. It's not as if I'm new to it. No, I'm not new to this game.
Yeah, but you know, John Dumelo, of course, was your previous parliamentary
candidate. Yes, I know that. Yeah. That does not serve as a bar to anybody contesting him. I mean, if indeed any person has served the party well, if indeed anybody has done what he has to do well, then you should allow the hard-working branch executives to be able to choose, have that opportunity to select whoever they think can lead the party.
Speaking about the delegates, do you feel that they'll certainly give you that opportunity if 3 of you are placed on that stage and given the opportunity to contest?
I am so certain about it, and let me tell you why I'm so certain about it. I have been with the branch executives way back last year, attended meetings with them, with them, give them, as I said, go for branch meeting, serve them with water and drinks. No plastic chairs, bought plastic chairs for almost every ward, left with just 3 wards, organizing health screening for them, legal outreach for them. I've been with them since last year, solving their problems, their issues. So they know that as at that time, it was even out there that maybe John was going to sell. There was nobody, and I was with the people. Now, the people are asking that, what are the problems we are facing as the NDC in Ayawaso West Wagon? They are facing two main issues, or I would say, two main issues. The first one is that we are facing some level of factional system in Ayawaso West Wagon after our constituency elections, where there have been issues where even two of the contestants, are still in court challenging the validity of those who were elected. They are still in court. So there are issues of disunity in Ayawaso West Wagon. What the branch executives are asking is that they want somebody who can unite the front of the NDC in Ayawaso West Wagon. And they think that Lawyer Moses is humble enough, he's respectful enough, he tolerates everybody, so he can bring that level of unity in Ayawaso West Wagon. Now again, they are asking that, why do we always lose the Ayawaso West Wagon seat from 2000 to date? The main issue is that we are able to win all the surrounding communities, Mempasem, Baoleshi, Abelempe, we're able to win all the surrounding communities, and then we lose woefully on Legon campus. In 2020, out of 41 polling stations on Legon campus, and NPP won 38.
Yeah, but
no.
This is not the fault of John Dumelo.
No, it's not. So they are looking for somebody. They are looking for somebody who can help resolve the issue, and they think.
Why should you be the one?
So I'm coming there. Right. So I read pharmacy in Legon. I'm a pharmacist. I read pharmacy in Legon from 2011 to 2015. I served as the pharmacy school vice president. I served as a teaching assistant after pharmacy school in Legon for the health sciences. After that, I proceeded to University of Ghana Law School, read law there, and I served as the SRC vice president in Legon. I mean, I've done a lot of things on Legon campus. I read my master's in economics on Legon campus. So they think that we need somebody who can identify with Legon. From 2004 to date, we've never had a candidate that has any form of association with Legon.
Really?
Yes, from 2004 to date. So they think that, no, now is the best chance for us to bring somebody who can easily be identified by the Legon electorate, who knows, who understands them, and who can duly represents them. I mean, when I served as a vice president, everybody knows what I did.
Okay, but Moses,
so the branch executives think that this is the best person to unite the party, and this is the best person to solve the problem of the NDC.
I get that. But given the fact that this is degenerating, party unity is key to winning the seat. You know that the area naturally has been tilted towards the New Patriotic Party.
Yes.
And that your action or inaction could cost the NDC in the Ayawaso West Wagon area.
I understand that. That is why this is very relevant to me. This particular issue is peculiar and it's very relevant to me. Let me tell you why. You see, if the branches are not inspired, they are not stimulated to work, then it means that automatically we are failing in Ayawaso West Wagon, because the foundation of the party is the branches. It's the branches who are going to work to ensure that we win both presidential and parliamentary in Ayawaso West Wagon. Now the branches are saying that allow us the opportunity for us to elect somebody we want. This is the person we want. This is the person we want. Allow us to reignite the heat in the branches. Now, when we're able to reignite the heat in the branches and the branches are able to elect somebody they want, then at the end of the day, everybody will come together to support the person who has been elected. But when you rob the branches of this opportunity to elect, then they will sit and say, okay, if you want to impose somebody on us, then come and work for the person. So that is the first issue we'll be facing in Ayawaso West Wagon. That is why this particular issue is peculiar to me. So we need to resolve this particular issue to ensure that it does not affect the vibrance of the party at the branch level.
We need to go. I'll give you the opportunity. This is a platform, of course, a lot of those in authority and particularly in the leading position of the NDC will be listening to. What will be your appeal to, the national leadership of the NDC on this?
What I would say is that I have successfully filed my nominations. The party should allow us to go through the procedures. We are yet to meet the vetting panel. If there are any issues or any petitions against us, they should allow us to formally get the petitions, formally respond to the petition, allow everybody to go through it, everybody who is qualified, any eligible member, to go through the process. After we go through the process, we will all work out when at the end of the day, on May 13th, when we elect one person, everybody will come together for us to work. And so I will plead with the leadership of the party that there are already issues in Ayawaso West Wagon from the constituency elections. We wouldn't want to add up to the issues, the persistent issues in Ayawaso West Wagon. So they should allow us to go through the process go through the requirement. At the end of the day, if we are all satisfied that we were allowed to go through the process and maybe one way or the other things did not go well for anybody, we all understand it. The right processes would be followed. That is why I'm saying that I'm seeking to defend and represent the people of Ayawaso. So I should be able to represent myself and defend myself. So I would push to go through the processes, to go through the party internal procedures. If that fails, I will have to take on and then ensure that all the necessary issues are
In
set.
the absence of that, you're going to court?
In the absence of that, I think I would advise myself, and that is not an option I would rule out at all.
Okay then. Yes. Moses Befi, thank you.
Thank you
for spending some time with us. Well, she's Ghana's first female Attorney General, but after she left office, she's been silent a bit. We get up close this time around with Betty Mould Idris, so my colleague Richard Kojinyako has been speaking to her on a number of national issues.
Some of the media now, you frighten me. Some of the media. I get scared when I get interviews and then see some screaming headlines out there. That's one issue. And the second issue, really, there are some fantastic personalities that we have in the party and in the country who are young ladies. And I'm mentoring them, myself and several others. We're mentoring them. And, you know, we do programs and things with them, showing them how to get out there. Occasionally, I'll do the rare interview so they'll see how it's done, how to manage, and so on. But I'm not a media person. I'm a poor lawyer. Really been a blessing to my life. And I thank God that I at least had a father and a mother, of course, very strong Ashanti woman, but a father who believed in pushing the women, his daughters, to the forefront. My sisters, my siblings from his side, one was the first female director of the Institute of Adult Education, Professor Miranda Greenstreet, and the other was also a top nutritionist, one of the top who did an MSc in America in the 40s, you know, so he's always pushed his siblings, his nieces and nephews. My first cousin is Dr. and Mrs. Mary Chinri Hesse. Her mother comes after my dad, the first female Chancellor of the University of Ghana. So our family from Jamestown, British Accra, is noted for that. We the Ashantis, though, we are more militant. Also, in terms of family, I mean, maybe I'm more strong because I'm the eldest of 4 from my mother and father's side. And 3 brothers after me. So, you know, the Ashantis, they bring us up to be the matriarchs. And that's what I've been. So it was joyous for myself and my siblings and my children for me to reach this age. And I think we've had a wonderful time and realize that we're blessed as a family.
So, I mean, how is life after, I'm not saying that after politics, because I can't say that you're out of politics, definitely. But, I mean, out of office, you're here, you just turned 70. I mean, that feeling should be some awesome one.
It is. It's exhilarating because all of a sudden, there's such a confluence of ideas and, you know, all the things that you have done come rushing to the front. And sometimes I just caught a snippet, I think it was Joy, of a program of a program of advocacy against domestic violence. We did that 40 years ago. I was trying to see the name of the group that was doing that advocacy, and I'm telling myself, we in FIDA, and then the organization I founded, the African Women Lawyers, we did that 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and going round the country on this advocacy. Yes, we have a domestic violence bill. How many cases go to court? It's the same questions they were asking. Then I begin to think to myself, maybe I didn't do all that. I haven't finished all that I set out to achieve. And, you know, the women lawyers, there's been a little dragging in terms of having of having them step up to their social responsibilities, and maybe, you know, responsibilities at the bar of doing pro bono work. A lot of us women do pro bono work without even knowing we are doing pro bono work, but that we need more of that. So there are still one or two things I have left to see. I'm not quite out yet.
So let's look at women empowerment. I know you stand for the issues of women, just like you were legislating about 40 years ago on the laws concerning women. Tell me about how women are being empowered. Are we getting there, or how is the pace like?
I think in my lifetime, it's all that I should have wanted to see has been achieved. You have more women lawyers than you do men being called to the bar now. You have an equal number of women medical practitioners. Sometimes they sweep the honors list. And you have, I think it's 51% of women at the university now. And that's just amazing. It's a joy.
More than us.
Yes, but you know, it was a very difficult situation. Even up to now, there are pockets of where poverty and the means to live has been at the bane of a girl child going to school. When I was Minister of Education, and we were taking steps to make sanitary pads and to make school sandals and school bags one of the fundamentals of education in the most deprived areas. People didn't understand it and thought we were doing politics. It's fundamental to get the girl child to school. I'm still sad to see that in some areas the situation still persists. But I think that I will call on the Minister of Gender, I think there is one now, you know, to do more. Number one, to implement the legislation that we have fought so hard to put into place in terms of domestic and spousal abuse, and then also to ensure that the girl children are given equal access to education as the boy children. True, it's getting better, but in some areas we have to do affirmative action.
There are sometimes you hear or you watch harrowing stories about access to education by a female or the girl child. In the Upper Dintra district, for instance, there are still some rivers that the female or the girl child is unable to cross because they are in their menses, and it impedes their access to education. When you hear some of these things, I mean, how do you feel about it?
I don't know what to say, because these are issues that we have been around the country talking about, and for me, around Africa talking about. And the only thing that gives me comfort is that in most areas of Africa, it is an even more bleak picture than ours. And now, with women rising in terms of political activism, and with women in places of decision making, and with women scrambling to get into parliament. Let me talk about my own party, because that's what I know best. And I'm sure the same is happening in the MPP and other CPP, other political parties. The number of qualified young women, fantastic women, who have put themselves forward. They have voluntarily put themselves forward for election as parliamentary candidates is absolutely phenomenal this year. I'm praying that they will go through the primaries successfully. NDC, we are conducting our primary selection now. And I also pray that those old impediments, these are girls, they don't see them. They're moving forward. They're not seeing that I'm not married, I don't have children, I'm this, or I'm a girl, or I'm a woman, I'm too young, I'm too pretty. Once or two of them have come to tell me, since we had elections, Auntie, they're saying that I dress too young, I dress in a sexy way, because I'm wearing tight jeans and a shirt. And I tell them, dress exactly the way you want to dress. Do not listen to what people are saying. Do not fit into the mold. Break it. That is what it's all about. Breaking that glass ceiling.
So if how they dress maybe does not really, or put them in some bad lights, or maybe it exposes some of their cleavages and all of that, should they still go ahead?
When you expose your cleavage, do I say anything? You see the male attitudes. You exposing your cleavage, or you wearing shorts or tight pants, I don't say anything. I mean, give me a break. Let's move on.
Okay, so let's look at women participation in our democratic process. You just mentioned about politics, the number of women that have voluntarily put themselves to contest. And there is this argument about, well, why don't we seed a number of these constituencies for women so that no one contests them? Are you a firm believer? Are you a firm believer of that?
I am such an ardent believer of that. I've tried it every 4 years in NDC.
Why should that be?
The great thing about it is that it's not only in Ghana or in Africa. I remember in the UK, in fact, when the new president of the African Women Lawyers, she was here a couple of nights ago. They came to honor me for my 70th, and she was here. And she said exactly the same thing. Why don't we have women in safe seats? And I said that it's because the men, even in the UK, I'm not sure which prime minister it was. He tried to do that some 20 years ago, saying that would be a great idea if women were put into the safe seats when they were going into a by-election. He was almost thrown out of government by his own backbenchers. They revolted and refused. And I think that is, it's no different here. All the NDC has done, which is a step, but it's a step they've always taken. They should move beyond that, as I keep on advocating, is to halve the filing fees. It's important, but they should do more than that. We should have women in safe seats.
Are you praying now that you sit here and you crave that the NDC will return to power maybe in 2024, right? Do you feel that we should get a female president sooner?
Oh, I've always had the belief that we should have a female president. I've always had the belief that we should have a female vice president. And we should have an all-female cabinet. I have no problems with.
He came close to that in 2020 when they had Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as vice.
Yes.
How was the feeling like?
Oh, it was wonderful for me. I mean, I was delighted that Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman was selected, and it's difficult, but I know the difficulties she has faced. Very competent woman, and when she talks, first class. But I know the difficulties she has faced. But regardless, we've always given her the vim to continue. She knows that we've got her back. And it made the young girls, the younger generation, very excited to see that. And I think it was a great balance. In politics, one always has to look at the balance between the North and the South, the male and the female, the educational, the professional, what they are bringing to the table. And I think that that's very important. What any candidate, regardless whether male or female, are bringing to the table. And that is what, in politics, we have to get right.
Does it sadden you that, they just ended vetting of the NDC. There was no woman who is among the three that sailed through. None even went ahead to even pick a form, let alone to even file for that one. Was it something that you were looking up to?
No, not for NDC. No, but not for NDC, not this time round, as I see it. It's unfortunate, but it's a very difficult terrain. Very, very difficult. Look, I ran for chairman of the NDC in 2015 or so. It was awful. Awful. It was just awful. I wouldn't want anybody I know personally to go through what I went through, you know, and it was just pure sexism. It was sexism. And
that you feel that it permeates through our politicking, not just something
about. I was talking about politicking. I knew I wouldn't win, but I wanted to break that glass ceiling that, as you said, nobody has filed for presidential. But I wanted to say that, look, I'm a woman, and yet I'm going for chairman. And it's the message I preach to all the constituencies, you know, that let's go for chairman or vice chairman. Don't let's always go for women organizers. I know women organizers are doing a fantastic job, but so let's go for secretary. Let's do something different, break that tradition, and let's stand for different things. So you'll find that 1 or 2 deputy secretaries and 1 or 2 vice chairmen, 1 or 2 NEC, National Executive members who are women. I've solidly supported them. All over the country, solidly supported them. I've never been against them. You know?
Have you thought about being a presidential candidate and being the president? You still look young, even though you are 70.
My bones and my knees, my canto are telling me different things. No, not anymore. That time has passed.
Is it a push that you would want to see, if not the NDC, other political parties for female? People have advocated, well, the men have served as presidents since independence, but I mean, they have not given us anything for us to be proud of. And so why don't we try a woman? But I've seen some women who became presidential candidates, but they were not really considered by the people on the majority, that's the women in this country. They never voted for the woman to become the first president.
That is an absolute absurdism, and it's not true that women vote for fellow women. Something I told Professor Nana Jane, I tell any woman who cares to listen, I've suffered it. They don't vote for you because you're a woman. They like you, they're inspired by it. But for them to actually go and vote for you just because you're a woman is rare. It's the younger generation who are doing that. I remember when I was at the Commonwealth in London, I was entitled to vote. So I went, you know, the UK elections, I went into the place, to the voting booth. I didn't know many of the candidates. Then I saw the Green Party had a woman as the parliamentary candidate for the area I was in. So I just voted for her. And that was purely because she was a woman. I didn't know her, but because she was a woman, I voted for her. And you have some people doing that. I've done it myself. I won't say when. I've done it myself locally, I mean nationally. I've done it myself. I've voted because they are women. More women should do that, but we don't. And I'm hoping that now, with the younger women growing up, not knowing the biases, the fears, the prejudices, the sexism that we have been through, I'm praying that now we can actually say that women vote for women, you know.
Then I'm sure that you have really saluted a lot of the women who have been in parliament consistently in their constituency in a male-dominated area like politics.
Oh, sure. There are so many of them that stand out. I just wish, and this is a wish, that the Women's Caucus was a much more stronger caucus. I understand their difficulties, but one would wish to have a strong Women's Caucus. I laid the bill for the review of the intestate succession law and the spousal rights, the dissolution of the spousal rights bill on dissolution of marriages as mandated by the Constitution. I laid that bill when I was Attorney General, 2011. Up to now, I say it was one of my finest hours. I was so proud because you have no idea of how the intestate succession law has revolutionized women, Jerry John Rawlings, the late Jerry John Rawlings passed it. I salute him for that. It was the first in Africa at that time in 1979. And we were the first, at that time it was FIDA, we were the first to actually go into that legislation. So look at me, 1979, this was 2011. I was so proud. The bill is still there in Parliament as a bill. Wow. Now, Obeka, wow. And we had spent years on advocacy. That's the African women lawyers. There were net rights. There was a whole movement of women trying to get this bill through. Lewa law and women in Africa. All of us were in the battle, sensitizing everybody in Ghana, sensitizing parliamentarians up till today.
1979.
No, this was 2011. It's more than a decade. That the draft bill is in Parliament and they just can't agree on the provisions. Ask yourself why. Because it ensures that women get a part of the property that they work with their husbands to acquire, either on death or on dissolution of marriage. That is all. There's no other basis.
When they go to court, when there is this dissolution
courts
of...
are fantastic.
Yeah, because the equality is equity principle, they apply.
The courts have pushed the boundaries of gender equality and the rights of men and women being equal under the Constitution to the maximum. I salute our courts and our judges, almost all of them. High Court, Appeal Court, Supreme Court, decision after decision after decision over the last 20 years have really given women a fantastic opportunity, you know, and a legitimacy in terms of their rights. More should be done and would have been done from 2011 if we had passed these laws. But I know we called on the Speaker of Parliament, we've done a lot of advocacy again, and I know that they have put it on the agenda for Parliament again, and we are assured that it will be passed in the lifetime of this Parliament. So I rest my case.
Well, so elections are just around the corner. Next year, we are going into elections again. The NDC has been in power for some time. The NPP has taken over and all of that. Now, let's look at this current regime. What do you think should have been, or now you relish that the NDC should come back in 2024?
I think it's a certainty. I don't think anybody has any other thoughts than that. Really? Oh no, but the MPP know that they can never make it back. They themselves know it. You know, go and ask anybody on the street.
But they also feel that the NDC, who are the alternative, they are also not really unified. They are divided. If you look at what happened in Parliament.
What happened in Parliament was disgraceful. I don't want to say more than that. It was disgraceful. But that is in the NDC. Whether it was NDC or MPP, it was disgraceful and should never happen again.
I want to understand, why is it disgraceful?
No, I don't want to go into it right now because as a party, I don't think we have explored it enough. But I think that, I think it was a disgrace and it was an affront to those in the constituencies because I do grassroots work. When you see me, you think I'm elitist, but I'm there. I'm going to the village next week. I'm going to be in Kwabre and all over Ashanti region, and they can't believe what has happened. Well, we only have 4 MPs, and we know none of them would do that.
So you feel that the MPP's desire to break the 8 is a mirage?
I don't know what to call it. But I don't think they really believe that. They're just saying it's a slogan. Like, what was it? One village, one dam or something like that. You see, one factory, one this. I think it's just one of their slogans. They themselves know that. If you want to test the pulse of the Ghanaian public, go and sit in a taxi cab take any Uber and talk to the guy, which how's it going? Hey, madam. But
you've been changing our government over and over again. Every 8 years, almost one political party takes over, and then they come to govern us. They more or less send us to the IMF. We go begging, and then they visit us with policies that may be unpleasant and all of that. Do you think that we have done well as a country? Every day going to people to borrow for debt forgiveness, debt cancellation and all of that, yet many people talk about, tackling the root of the problems and then getting the foundations right.
Weren't you disappointed? Bitterly disappointed. I never ever thought that this would be the fate of Ghana. Not going to IMF, that's not a big issue, that's not a big problem. It's something that should have been foreseen, that we would have to do if they continued along the reckless path of expenditure that this government has done. I think Ghanaians reeled from the shock. They can't believe what they are in, And I must say, I really cherish being a Ghanaian, even in this most difficult of times, because I think we are an incredible people. We are so generous, and so, we have this innate capacity to absorb so much. I can't use some of the words because I'm going to be on talking to people who might be my juniors, but we've endured a lot. And I think anybody can see that we have been bitterly let down by this government, not Ukraine or whatever it is.
That's not justification that, coronavirus rocked us, and then Russia and Ukraine.
Nobody believes that story except them. So they should go ahead in their false beliefs or misguided beliefs. It's sad, that as a people, we have to go through this.
What were your expectations when President Akufo-Addo took over the reins of governance, and then you were expecting? Now you sound disappointed. I don't know whether to say that you are disappointed, but you expected more, or did you believe him?
He's a personal friend. I don't want to spoil a friendship that has transcended and gone through almost 70 years. So don't let me look at the personalities. Let me just say that the governance of the country has been abominable. And I never ever thought it could get to this stage.
Your friend is leading this government.
I know. I will not say more. A friend.
Your friend you have been with for 70 good years has led us from 2017 up to date.
Into the pits. I think every Ghanaian can see that we have been misled. And it's a pity that we have to continue even for another year. But this is what I talk about, the resilience and the courage of Ghanaians, that even they can go through this. And both MPP and NDC, we don't want a coup d'etat. Nobody's interested in military taking over. No, we want to go to the ballot box and vote them out. I keep telling NDC, we are not sure of ourselves. Yes, we can't stand up to police brutality and military excessive force of the military. I don't know if any of you have been in Ashanti region during any election day. It is pure hell for us. And I have been insulted. I have had stones thrown at my car. I have been put behind counterback. I've had an MP, a sitting MP, point a gun at me in front of a police station. Almost everything you can see, you can imagine, every electoral atrocity has occurred in Ashanti region. And with the few of us who are there, we have to stand against it. So for me, I I think that these people in Accra and other places, they have a field day. We have to fight it out in order to exercise our rights. And I can assure you, if there was an election today, we would win in Ashanti region even. I'm telling you.
Is it not a feeling that Ghanaians have short memory, just as the former president said, and so we endured during their time, and then we are still enduring it?
He's my friend. He can say very intelligent things. I don't want to comment about that, but I think this memory is an enduring memory. You know, it's as enduring as some of us when we lived through the 1979 times when there was no sugar, no milk, no anything. I think that this has come, I mean, it's too much for us now. What we're going through, even in terms of bills, paying ECG, and they still have huge amounts left to be paid to them. Water, which we thought was given to us free during the COVID times, we are having to pay for it. Banks collapsing. Everything seems to have just gone wrong. And I'm praying that we can get the IMF stability, only because it will force them, it will force this government to sit up and do the proper thing by Ghanaians, even if it's just 1 year they have left. They can't leave this to us to inherit. They can't do that to anyone.
Many have described Ghanaians as election happy or election trigger people and not development happy or development trigger system, because a lot of them, we get excited and then we vote, and then the next moment it's about we start after the voting or after every election. All that we think about is the next election and not the next development that we'll give to the people.
I don't know about that, because I'm a lawyer first and foremost, and then I do politics. And in politics, it's all about winning. This is all that we think about, how we can make the next government. Go and ask, is it Obi in Peter Obi in Nigeria? The things that they had thought. Look at what happened in Kenya last year and the recent, the hotly contested elections. So it's all about winning. And the decision, you see, the most important decision is that the people should be able to exercise their franchise in a fair and free manner at the ballot box. That is why we think about that day, because that is the only important time. And I keep saying that the will of the Ghanaians will be expressed next year. In December. The will of nothing. Once the Ghanaians are determined, like they were in 2016, that they wanted to try Nana Addo Dankwa, and they were determined to try him and to vote us out, nothing stopped us. We were in power. And it will be the same for them. There's nothing they can do. Electoral Commission, army, police, whatever. We will have the government that we want.
And you will still go to the Ashanti region to campaign so that they will throw stones at your car?
I've done that for many years. I've done that for many years. Nothing new to me. Now I'm a little better known. So when they see me, say, hey, Oba no Oba, yes, I'm too Oba.
Do you think that this could change so that we could have a truly free, fair, transparent election, or we have it already? I mean, what we have been organizing over there?
I think that we have a long way to go. The Electoral Commission has many problems. They've just sworn in, I think, 2 or 3 commissioners who there's been questions of bias and political allegiance against one of them. It's very sad. And what I find unforgivable is the ousting of Charlotte Osei. This is why when people say ASEM is all about women, yes, it is all about women. Why? On what basis? Now, do we think about it? How petty it was? I called her here and mentored her for a long time. She was even stronger than I was at what she had gone through. And I don't think that anybody should do that. Mess around with the Electoral Commission of this country. I know, and I know Gino Mensah as well. So I'm not only talking about Charlotte, but it's an institutional thing. Shouldn't do that to us women.
But if you look at the recent appointment of these 3 members to the commission, do you have a premonition that, I mean, there is something sinister that may happen, and that is why these people were just appointed?
Well, of course. Of course. Oh, yes.
But some people also say that, well, it's just going to the ballots. I mean, on that day, cast your ballot. That is the most important thing, and not the people that are actually the referee.
Of course it's the people. Of course it's about the people. The Constitution gives the parameters, and it didn't anticipate some of these things. One tries to be fair, at least. Be fair. Don't do what you are doing. Involve people who have open political biases, the same thing going on in our Supreme Courts. We're not allowed to say it, or we can't talk about it, otherwise we are, targeted. All these things are unfair, and it's not a good growth for Ghana's democracy. We need to be bigger and better than that in order to move the country forward. This is not the legacy we should leave to our children. We must move on.
And indeed, with that voice, there would certainly be a move of God. And it's part of the El Roy album, correct? That's the song Nini is bringing on board. Of course, it's part of administration. We're still in that mood, reflecting on the Easter festivities, but there's a need to talk about gospel a bit. So what we're seeing there is your very first, or your very first.
Yes.
Yeah. For those who may not be aware of your administration, tell us about yourself and, what's inspiring you to go into the gospel music?
Well, my name is Nana Abna Amanoa Sifa. That's my maiden name. The Sifa is my maiden name, and Frimpong is my marriage name. So, Nini Sifa for short. Okay. Presently, what is inspiring me is the fact that there is a move that God wants to take me on, or a journey that God wants to take me on. And the call has been there, but I have never heeded to the call. And in 2020, that was when I heard the word, there's a move of God in the atmosphere. And September 2020, that's when I got the song. I got parts of that in 2020. Then in 2021, I got the remaining of the song. So then I got a scripture which says Jude 6, verse 12 to 14. And the moment I started taking my time to actually read what Jude was talking about, I realized there is a call on Gideon, but Gideon was scared to take that move. Gideon doubted a lot about his own potentials. Right. So then I came to realize that everything I have been through in life was actually preparing me for a moment like this, hence this time.
And I guess you're just relating that to your personal story. Now you're taking that bold step, courageous step. We must congratulate you on that. But of course, this will be the professional phase. Have you been singing ever since? Some have tried it in their bathrooms, for instance. I'm wondering how many times you've tried this personally, at your own personal level, since you're growing up. How's it like for you?
Actually, I belong to the Church of Pentecost. Okay. So I used to sing during Easter conventions, Christmas conventions. So unofficially, I have been doing my own thing, both in Ghana and in the US. So officially, this is my first time I'm taking that step of faith to actually do what God wants me to do. Yeah. And here I am.
Today,
yes,
of course, making it big. So what's next for you? Where are you starting from? I see El Roy, the God who sees and...
Who sees me.
Who sees me, right. Yes. So that's your album?
Yes.
Tell us about it and what's in store.
Yes. So El Roy, basically, like I said, I have been on a journey. And that journey spans so many years. So I'm almost 40. So I've been through a lot of challenges. I've been through a lot of setbacks. I've hit low moments in my life. Lost my mom 2017 to top it up, and lost my father in 2021.
That must be really hard for you.
Yes, so I have been through everything that any human being can, go through in life. So the term Elroy actually came when I was actually preparing. Like I said, I've been on a journey. So through the spiritual emphasis at a point in my life, that was in 2020, then I got the name Elroy. But I really did not know what to do with the name. So it was only up until my manager actually asked when we needed a name. I'm like, for the album, I'm like, a name, where am I going to get a name? He said, think you will get a name. Then I remembered that, yes, Elroy. And in Genesis, it talks about Hagar, the story of Hagar and Sarah. We all know what Hagar went through in the hands of Sarah. So upon looking back on all that, it is God who has seen me. Elroy has seen me through every step of the way.
And personally, I like the fact that you're grounded in the scripture, and music is a powerful tool to ride on and to spread the gospel. So what's the plan? How do you intend to, of course, reach out to more people? We are on TV here reaching out to thousands of people, yet there are those out there who still want to feel that personal connection of your ministry. What do you plan doing next?
The plan is to do what God wants me to do first and foremost, of which I feel I have delayed a little bit, but before God.
Oh, you had wanted to start this?
Yes, I've tried. I've tried so many times, but I've never, like I said, I've never had the courage to actually move on because I felt I wasn't adequate enough. But now is the time because all that God wants me to see, I have seen it. Though I haven't seen everything, but the greater part of my life I have seen, and I have been led by God so far. And He's always come through for me. So for me doing this at this time, I see that this is the time for it. So I will just be doing what God wants me to do, take it a step at a time. When I hear the songs, I would record them. I would spread it whichever way I can. I'll still continue to do what I do in my church. So basically the plan is to just go on and on until, the whatever God has placed in me is felt everywhere, through radio, through TV, social media, whichever way.
For those who would like to get in touch with you, in touch with the team, to support this ministry, for instance, and to ensure that the gospel is spread far more across this country. Are there some platforms that are open where people could easily reach out to you and then, of course, be a blessing to your ministry?
Currently, honestly, there are no such thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
But I'm sure that on social media, people could reach out or
they
some
could,
platforms?
Yes, there are platforms where they can, go subscribe, YouTube, listen to the songs, share, etc. Yes.
Okay, we'll be on the lookout for that. But as we wrap up, I'm sure that aside the move of God, you have some other beautiful songs on that album. You care to just give us an a cappella, maybe 30 seconds or something brief that we need to have a feel of, or you need to get into the spirit first?
Oh, no.
Okay, so let's try that then.
So I have Sene Nyankopon Sidori.
Okay, so that's also on this album that you're talking about.
Yes.
Give us a feel of that.
Sene Nyankopon Sidori Sydney. Suddenly doba chrono baye. Nani obejine dinanyiro. Na wenya dankwa. I'll just end here.
Okay. I feel like being a musician right now. But okay, I'll get my lessons. When I'm done, then we'll come back. But of course, it's been a blessing having you, Nini Sifa, for joining us here on The Pulse. We usually don't get this, but this is a blessing indeed. And this is the reason for the season. So we'll see you again. And of course, we are leaving you with this beautiful one from Nini, Sifa, enjoy. From the rest of the team here, I'm blessed to log on to myjoyonline.com. We'll see you again. But we leave you. Please watch.